In the last 12 months, retirement was one of the key search terms that people in Singapore have been searching about. Though it's a really broad topic, but retirement as a whole can be pretty complex if we don't break it down into smaller pieces to understand, digest, and act on it. And 8 in 10 Singaporeans, or 80% of us, underestimate the amount that we need for retirement. So this might sound very scary, but here are some steps that we can start looking into so that we can plan for our own retirement. Hi, my name is Jordan and welcome to the channel. So let's talk about retirement. Retirement is the act or the fact of leaving one's job and ceasing to work. So an average person will follow this timeline. As a baby, you will learn to walk, and then you head on to school for formal education, you'll get a certificate, you'll head on to the workforce, get married, buy a house, have kids, nurture your kids, retire, and live out our lives. Although Singapore has one of the highest standards of education because of the style of teaching, something the education system not only in Singapore fails to teach is managing finances and planning for our retirement. And more often than not, those without any knowledge or know-how on how to plan for retirement will end up with not enough funds to live out our lives and not being able to do what we really want to do, and some continue to work into their golden ages, which is something that not many people want. Planning for retirement doesn't have to be very complex, and it can start at any age. And it is also a continuous process and a work in progress as we get closer and closer to our retirement age. And all you need to start is to have a plan for what you want to work towards and slowly chip away at it. So such plans will be boring because personal finance is never about getting that huge lottery windfall or having those huge APYs, as those are unsustainable over a long period of time. I do know that we do talk about those on this channel, but those are really small little experiments that I run with additional money that I have without risking too much of my net worth into those projects or platforms. So retirement is really about income in your golden years and not assets. And to not confuse those two, we can picture it in this way. So an asset is something that retains value or appreciates in value over time. So like owning a Rolex watch, we all know that Rolex watches appreciates over time, and the price of a watch only gets more and more expensive, especially with vintage models. But at the age of 50 or 60, when you are deciding to retire, imagine having a Rolex on your wrist does nothing more than just tell you the time. It does not pay you anything in return unless you decide to sell it to generate cash for your expenses or to supplement your lifestyle. So the asset in this case is of very little use in our retirement because it's not producing income per se. And then let's talk about income. So when we have income, we hear the term passive income being thrown out very loosely, but essentially what passive income means is a source of income or money generating tool that can consistently pay you on a monthly basis, biannual or annual basis, thus giving you cash flow to pay for your expenses. One of the ways you can get passive income is by investing in high quality dividend stocks. And this is why I need to hear from our sponsor of today, HabitTrade. So you guys know that I'm a lazy person and I like to get paid regularly from various investments that I have. And when we make profits in our crypto space, more often than not, these profits either sit in stable coins that yield a small interest, but at the end of the day, there is no capital appreciation. So this is where HabitTrade comes in. So HabitTrade is the first crypto-friendly global stock investment platform that allows you to trade stocks available on the Nasdaq, New York Stock Exchange, and the Hong Kong Exchange. This means that you're able to purchase your favorite stocks like Tesla, Procter & Gamble, Apple, and much more. But one of the most unique features of HabitTrade is the ability to transfer stable coins like USDT directly into HabitTrade platform and start purchasing these stocks with a few taps of a button. This means that our profits will now be put into the stock market where we can get gains from the growth, or if we purchase dividend stocks, we get paid in dividends. The interface on HabitTrade is simple and easy, which is something I really appreciate. Being simple and easy also means that beginners or people who are looking to start investing can start using their crypto gains to diversify into stocks that hold much lesser risk. And one feature that I really like about HabitTrade is the News tab. So the News tab gives me an up-to-date news and also shows me the price changes of the stocks that are mentioned in the news, which is a great way to get bite-sized information. The trending page also shows you the latest trending stocks in the market that you can consider looking into as well. And by signing up with the link in the description down below, you get a free stock worth $5 when you make your first purchase of $300 in stocks, and if you purchase more than $1,000 in stocks, you get a free stock worth up to $20. And on top of that, you get customized market intelligence to help you make informed trading decisions. But most importantly, always do your own research before investing any money into any investment instrument. So once again, thank you Habitrade for sponsoring today's video. So now we understand the assets and the income. The other side of the equation is expenses. So expenses are things like your meals, your entertainment, your insurance premium, and things that you need to spend on a monthly basis. So think of it as a balancing scale between your income and your expenses. If you can reduce your expenses, this will provide you with more runway for your money. The higher your expenses, the faster your money will run out, leaving you less for retirement. If we put it into simple terms, once we understand how much cash inflow we get from our dividends, our day job, our side hustles and other incomes, we can then look at our expenses after each month. Then we take our cash flow minus our cash outflow to see how much is left for us to build a retirement fund. And needless to say, the earlier you start, the longer time you have to build our fund and let it grow for us. But if your number here becomes negative, then there's really only two options that we can do, which is increasing our earnings rate or our income rate, or reducing our expenses. And I have done a video on that and you can check it out in the card right above. Luckily for us in Singapore, we do have CPF that is sort of like a retirement fund for us. But ideally, we should have our own funds built so that we can decide when we wish to retire. And once we got those in, we can look at the retirement cash flow timeline. So there are many tools available where you can key in details of yourself and it gives you estimated of how much you'll require when you retire. And from there, you're able to work out how much more you need to put in to reach that sum at a lower age. So basing on my stats, I'll need roughly $2 million to retire by the age of 65, which will give me roughly $7,000 a month to retire comfortably, and these are adjusted with a 3.4% inflation rate. So based on this calculator, I'm probably on track for my retirement, but this doesn't take into account things like longevity, health risks, and market volatility. So let's talk about longevity. The average longevity of humans here is 83 to 95 years old. And if you want to retire early, you'll require a larger sum of money, which can be done by increasing your income over time. And the longer you live, the more money you'll require, because as we age, we do get health risks, which brings us to the next point of health risk. So for example, if I continue working my day job, doing my side income and investing consistently, I will be on track for retirement. However, if one day there's some health condition that renders me unable to work, this will put me far away from my retirement. So this is where the importance of getting good coverage from your insurance will help you tide over those tough times. And lastly, we have market volatility. So because we are much younger, we are more employable, and we're able to take on more risks in terms of investing, but this doesn't mean going out there and throwing money into different things and hoping to strike rich. So ideally, we should have two buckets. One for safe investing and one for high-risk investing. And as we age, we should have fewer high-risk investments and more safe investments which can protect our wealth and grow them without too much risk of losing them. At the end of the day, the important takeaway here is to start planning for your retirement as early as possible and map out what are the ways you can use to reach that goal. As in my case, I will need almost $2 million to reach my retirement goal, and by starting now and increasing my investing habits will allow me to reach that goal much earlier or on time. And once you have all that planned out, something else is to add is to have a systemic withdrawal plan for your investments. So at which stages do you want to start withdrawing your dividends? And at what point of time do you want to sell your high-risk stocks like Tesla? At the same time, you can look back into our investment buckets and have some plans for them to be shifted around to ensure that we have enough cash flow to tide through our retirement years. At the end of the day, our plans might be similar at some point, but also vastly different because it's very personal and we all have different commitments in our lives. I do hope that this video can spark a little voice in you and get you started on planning your own retirement, because if you do not plan for your retirement, no one else will. So thank you guys so much for watching. Do check out Habitrade to get your free stocks. Drop a like if you haven't. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.